Larry, there is a school somewhere in the Midwest. It's a boarding school that used to be widely known for taking in the troubled youth and attempting to restore them to a normal functioning level and re-released upon the masses. Because of the precarious nature of a majority of the students, this school is located among 40,000 acres of desert wasteland. The main campus, located in the midst of it all, has only 2 outlets. The first, a gated bridge that provides a safe crossing over an ever-flooded wash, white water always rushing through, threatening to drown any who dare attempt to swim across. The second, a hidden trail that is only known to the staff and only traversable by a 4-wheel drive vehicle. This school employs a retired ER surgeon as the nurse. He has a house, wife, and a single child. Like the other students, this child is deeply disturbed. Nobody knows exactly what is going on in his head, and his mannerisms have a unique tendency to unnerve anybody he may be near. He doesn't say much, just sits and watches, as if he is plotting something. Nobody goes out of their way to speak to him. Aside from his obvious social ineptitude, he seemed normal. In his free time, this child retreats to his father's office, where the surgeon tutors his son in the mechanics of suturing on dead animals that are found in the desert surrounding the school. Before too long, his son has mastered the art and moves on to study anatomy. He also excelled in his other studies, the ones operated by school officials. After the first year of the surgeon's employment, small animals started to disappear around the campus. At first, nobody noticed. After all, there were far too many lizards, snakes, squirrels, and gophers littering the grounds. However, once people's pets started to go missing, complaints started piling up. A cat here, small dog over there. There were numerous students that were suspect of the animals' disappearances. After all, some of them had been accused of violent actions against both people and animals. These occurrences stopped after about a month, and everyone soon moved on. The culprit was assumed to have been a coyote or mountain lion. This was proven wrong, however, when the bodies started to show up. They'd be in their yards or propped upright by the front door of their once owners. The bodies, but not the heads. Yes, there was a full corpse, but the heads were all mismatched. The head of the cat was found on the small dog's body, and a squirrel head on the cat's body. There was no apparent sign that the pets had been decapitated. Upon closer inspection, it was found that the heads had been perfectly attached with surgical-grade suture. Even the veins, tendons, and ligaments of the body were seamlessly attached to the new head. There was only one person on campus known to have this kind of skill, the surgeon. He was denounced of his nursing duties and brought into the main office for questioning. The administration found nothing that linked him to the animal murders and head mixing besides the obvious surgical background. In any case, to ease the minds of faculty and students, he was asked to leave. But because of his social hardships, his son was allowed to stay to continue his education. The disappearances of animals and their head switching stopped. The surgeon's son seemed to come out of his shell a little, and it was learned that his name was Larry. However, there was always something just a little off about him. People attributed it to his father being announced as a psychopath and mutilator of animal bodies. As senior year rolled around, the annual camping trip for the seniors came up quickly. It was greatly anticipated, as this was the only time the students were not under close supervision. The class was a small one, consisting of only 10 students, Larry being one of them. There was an offshoot of the wash that was almost continuously dry, located about a mile from Central Campus, and surrounded by trails that lead to numerous tunnels that delved deep into the mesas that loomed over the running wash. The first night went off without a hitch. Ghost stories were exchanged around a raging fire before each student departed in their own time to their individual tents. Larry was the only one to stay by the fire the entire night. He had elected himself to keep watch over it, to make sure no embers were lifted from the dying fire and into the dry desert. A shovel, bucket of water, and backpack of camping supplies rested next to him in case anything got out of hand. The students all rose with the sun the next day and spent the whole day exploring the caves and caverns that surrounded their campsite. That night, everything seemed to be going along as it had the night before. One of the girls, Jessica, decided she wanted to take a moonlit hike instead of sit through another night of lame ghost stories. Her boyfriend, Tyler, went along with her, not wanting her to be in the desert by herself. The other students, once again, slowly left the fire for their tents. And once again, Larry was left to tend to the fire. A loud hiss was erupted from the fire as the bucket of water was poured onto it, which woke everyone in the camping area. They all ran out of their tents, hoping to see that nothing was amiss, and that Larry had just gotten sick of watching the embers burn. But, by the dim light of the moon, it was slowly realized that both Larry and the shovel were missing. And Tyler and Jessica had not returned from their walk. The other students were sent into a frenzy, fearing the worst for their friends, and decided to split up and search the trails in the direction they'd seen Tyler and Jessica head off in earlier that night. After entering one of the tunnels, one of the groups of students stumbled into a cave with a particularly wide opening, and a fuzzy outline of something hanging from the ceiling could be slightly made out. The group approached the hanging object, and it slowly split into two forms. As they got closer, they could make out the forms as human, and the worst was realized. The two forms were Tyler and Jennifer. However, there was something horribly wrong with their corpses. Tyler's head was on Jennifer's body, and Jennifer's head on Tyler's body. The necks were crudely cut, with serrations in the flesh and jagged edges that did not properly match up. It was evident that it had taken a number of hits with a blunt object to completely sever the heads from the bodies. Once the bodies were removed and inspected, it became clear that they were attached by surgical-grade suture. The veins, tendons, and ligaments were all seamlessly attached, in exactly the same manner as the animals a few years earlier. A huge search was continued for Larry, now not only because he had gone missing, but also because he was the new suspect for the animal mutilations and the new murder/mutilations of two students. After 2 weeks and no trace of Larry, the school was officially shut down. The students were transferred to other schools who specialized in rehabilitation of troubled students, such as this one. And the staff all found new careers in new states. The campus was completely deserted for 25 years. After this time, the school was reopened. Only this time, it was for students who wished to prepare for college. Along with a rigorous academic schedule, each student was assigned a work crew to be on to aid in the upkeep of the campus. One of the crews was to create an irrigation system leading from the wash that had long since slowed from rushing rapids to a nice rambling stream into the campus to water the lawns. The starting point was near the old campsite where the disappearance of the two students had occurred. After digging the form of the ditch, cement was poured. The crew left the wet cement to set overnight, clearing all the tools from the area, and returned the next day after classes. One of the students noticed something etched into the cement and pointed it out to the rest of his crew. Scratched into the now dried cement was the name Head Mixer Larry, with a lone blood-stained shovel resting against a nearby tree.